Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm with my friend here, Tommy Christy.
Get excited.
Man, I'm pumped to have you
Get
on.
excited.
I so appreciate it, bro. So appreciate it. Get
Yeah.
pumped. Let's go. Yes, man. Tommy, go ahead and tell everybody about yourself. What do you do, man?
Man, thank you for having me, brother. I really appreciate that. I would say, first of all, I'm a husband, a father of three, and I'm a business owner. Multiple businesses, all generally real estate based. And that is my addiction. Real estate is my addiction.
Real estate's the
Yeah.
addiction and family's the love.
Yeah, and I got excited for the invitation because it's that constant imbalance in this whole wide world. So I'm excited to see what comes up question wise.
Yeah,
Make it relative to our peeps out there in this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Let's do it.
So tell us, man, where are you from?
So I'm a Bay Area peep. I'm Pleasanton, California. It's very pleasant there. Yeah, it's very
There's a
pleasant.
ton of pleasance there.
Yeah, very, very pleasant. And I am a Chico State grad. Go Wildcats. And we are now 20 plus years, give and take, Roseville, Rockland, Natomas, in Granite Bay, settling now for our goodness, for longevity, theoretically, in Newcastle, California.
Oh, Newcastle's beautiful.
Yeah, a little ranch. Going to go set things on fire and shoot things and
Have a lot
got
of
my
fun.
own little space.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go, man. How are the kids liking the space?
We move in T-minus 30-ish, 45 days or so.
Okay.
So it's in rehab right now, but they get to go up there and hit the pond and hit the geography. We back up to a couple thousand acres of vacant land right now, and it feels good to go explore. They
Oh.
like that part of it.
Yeah, very
Love
nice.
that part.
Are you've been outdoorsy your whole life, or?
No. Family wasn't campers, went to the standard middle school, high school camp type stuff, but for the most part, snowboarding was my only outlet of reasonable outdoorsishness,
Snowboarding.
outdoorsy-ishness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. There you
That's
go.
it.
So addicted to real estate, man.
That's
How did
it.
that happen?
That's a great question. I was slinging coupons door to door, selling coupons right out of college.
For those of you who don't know what that is, those are little paper tablets you'd get
excellent,
and then
point.
take them to the store.
Pre Groupon in this world,
Yeah,
pre
but-
everything.
yeah.
I would sell a book of I would say the top client we had at that time was Sierra at Tahoe. You buy my $40 booklet, you get one lift ticket, and you get buy one get one free on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and a free rental. And we go to 100 doors a day, knocking on doors.
Let's go.
And then my brother was a teller at Wells Fargo, and his biggest client was a real estate guy, and he thought, you're going to quit your job anyway. Go talk to this dude. And then, it turns out that his boss got asked by that guy, do you know anybody I can hire? I'm growing, I'm hiring. And I had been knocking on doors already, so he get me a job setting appointments for him to buy houses. I would just knock on the door. I didn't know a thing about real estate. Didn't own a house, anything. And by 23-ish, I owned a rental. I owned probably 4 or 5 rentals before I bought a primary.
Wow.
Yeah, and then that was my goal. Just door knock, talk to people, set appointments for him, learn stuff. I didn't know anything.
And you just met this guy through your brother?
My brother was a teller. That dude had all the money to go to auction, so he would always be making checks to go to auction. And so he put us together, and at the time I remember this, I was eating a Chipotle burrito. Mm-hmm. My brother said, hey, you got to call this guy. He's hiring. I just heard he's hiring. He's going to pick someone up. And I'm like, a $7 burrito is 3% of my net worth.
We've been there.
Yeah.
We've been
So
there.
if you ever meet her, someday, if we're in our small world, it was husband-wife team, they were just kind of dominating that foreclosure world. And I told her at the end of that, I got my PhD. And she goes, from Chico State? And I kind of rolled her eyes because her husband went to Chico State for at least a year before he transferred. And I'm like, yeah, I'm poor, hungry, and desperate. I freaking need a job. I am unemployed, and I got $70 in a beer stein. No, I didn't even have a checking account. And they picked me up, and I bought 4 or 5 houses my first month door knocking.
Wow.
It was easy, yeah, because they had all the money, they had the system. Mm-hmm. I was part of their system, so I didn't have to do everything. I just had to do my part.
You should be good at one part.
Yeah, and so in 05 and 06, when the world was still booming, and I broke off figuring anybody could do this. I could not do it nearly.
There's a
as
shark
efficient.
in the water.
Yeah. So then in 07, he warned me. He's like, sell everything you have. Everything. Anything. Doesn't matter. Just sell it. And then I started selling all my houses, and I kind of didn't get killed in that 08 time frame. And then the world foreclosures came in and re-taught me foreclosures in 9-10, and we did Vegas and Phoenix, Tucson, all in NorCal, 10 counties in foreclosure sales. And I'd say we peaked at about 2011. We bought maybe 200 or so at auction. And then in 12, I started a foreclosure fund with what became Invitation Homes and went public. And they now own 80,000 houses. And I bought 2,700 for them in 24 months.
Wow, man.
Yeah, so we were buying sometimes 40 houses a day.
So, wow. That's incredible, man.
I had big stacks of cashier's checks and accounting systems and everybody on the back end. I'd get there by 4:30 in the morning to get the money out to 5 counties or 6 counties, and then I would stay till.
And you had no idea about this world, selling coupons. You walk in, you already have the skills for door knocking. Door knocking is a skill.
So let me tell you the 2 parts of the door knocking that they taught me, because this is applicable to any one of your jobs in this whole wide world, is the C factor. Smile, eye contact, and enthusiasm. I've had people on door knocking, they're like, I wasn't going to answer the door, but I could not figure out why you were smiling. So they're smiling, they're looking through the little peephole.
Yeah.
And I'd buy the house.
Wow.
Yeah, like we kind of killed it in terms, in that part. And then it was, they really drove home the systems of just a consistency. Like, and expecting, like, did you really think you were going to get 100 yeses? Like, you want to knock on 100 doors, you think 100 people are going to say yes?
No.
Like, why do you think you leave with only 25 sets of coupons? And at the end of the day, if I make $10 each and I cut someone a deal, like, on their days I made nothing, and they call it curb ass. You're sitting on the curb, sad, because you made a whole lot of nothing. 14 hours.
14 hours door knocking, didn't sell a thing.
Had no kids, no responsibilities in life, and $350 rent. Girl living on our couch so we could afford rent. Couch girl.
Those are the times.
Yeah.
Those are the times. Those are those moments you were talking about. Those moments you look back on. You can reflect and be like, where was I there? So how great is life today for you?
You know, it is a gift. You know, I don't know for those out there that are listening. You know, I would say today I pray more for my gift of joy, not out of fear or need necessarily. Just this understanding that I had date day this morning with my daughter. Every Wednesday morning we split a breakfast burrito and we walk to school together. Like that is a gift. Yeah.
Yeah, and you trade anything for that moment.
Yeah, I did mountain biking this weekend with my teenager, my middle boy, and right now we're car shopping for my oldest. Like, it's just it's that gift of, like, there is no better option. It's not like someone, hey, we're gonna go do this and this and this. Like, it's like this. I got a 7-hour swim meet on Saturday. 3 minutes of swimming.
Right.
7 hours.
Right. I called you last weekend and it was like, hey man, here's what I got for you. Boom, boom, boom. And my little cousin had graduated Chico State that day. And he said the same thing, go Wildcats, right? And you're like, hey man, I got 7 hours at the swim meet, man. I only got a couple minutes for you. I got to get back over to my swimmers.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
every parent takes on a job, and that's that sense of community in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this next weekend I'm watching the bench, which is called Ready Bench, and then I have to carry kids by the hand who carry the next kid by the hand to make sure every kid gets to the pool, and then we wait, and it's embarrassing when you drop the ball on something so small like that.
Right.
You're like,
right. But there's a system to that too.
There is a system. Somebody has perfected it. Someone's failed at it enough
To perfect.
and it's still going, and it's perfect.
That's awesome.
And I think when you realize the parents out there that are carrying multiple hours of nonsensical emails from other parents that just can't read the basics, right in front of them, like, you get a real appreciation for what other people are kind of balancing out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where you're focused on your 20%, right? Your family, your business, right? And that ever loving smile, man. Every time I see you,
brother, I freaking got a lot to be happy about in this world.
Yeah.
We are blessed.
So, I know I've gotten the fortunate opportunity to hang out with you several times, man. And I haven't asked you personally just yet. You know, we see you today, just glorious and basking and just enthusiasm and positivity, man. Where was your lowest moment in life?
You know, I would say if I can bring that question to being fear-based, it would be my 3-month-old had open heart surgery.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's like you have a baby and they tell you can't leave the hospital until he meets a cardiologist and these other specialists, and my child has holes in their heart. What does that mean? And then we are paying for the world's greatest insurance. It costs $1 zillion a year, which is a whole topic I would love to frickin' sidebar on. And then suddenly they're like, we're going to try and wait till your son's heavy enough to have heart surgery. 6 months old. That's the goal. Is that this child is this big for surgery instead of this big. And you're thinking, so you guys chose the lowest bidder to do my son's surgery? Like, you start questioning everything. Like, who is this dude? And then you meet him. You're like, you're gonna let banana hands frickin' go and do a surgery on my child? Like, how is this going to work?
Yeah.
And then, and everybody would say, oh man, we're gonna pray for you. We're great, giving you our thoughts and whatever else it was. And at that point in time, we were just accepting it all. Didn't really have any meaning behind it all. Then when you get the gift of, he exceeded every highest and best of, like, well, if he, if this happens, then he'll be able to, he'll keep growing, and if he gets to this point, he won't need a shot anymore. He had to get a shot to go to the dentist, because when you go to the dentist, it cleans your teeth and it releases bacteria that could affect his heart. Like, he still has ties on his sternum, his bone. Like, so if he goes through a metal detector, he'll permanently have metal in his chest. So it's just a trip to see how they put a Gore-Tex patch on, sewed him up, and signed him off. And even more random, I ran into a girl from high school whose son was having heart surgery at the same hospital.
Man.
Yeah, like, that's this world of just people's, a small community that, when you invest in people and relationships, you get to know people.
Yeah, I think some of society lacks that. We're so distracted with whatever we can tie a little bit of that moment to, whether it's scrolling or...
Good point. And I am getting some more value out of something like this. Someone goes to our website and they track me down and they message me. People just go out of their way and say, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm struggling with. This, have you ever done this? Like, do you have a second for a phone call? Everyone wants a coffee or something. And obviously you can fit in what you can, or you can do some phone calls. But it's great to add value for something. And not expect anything out of it, in return. Like, whatever comes of it comes of it.
Right. Who was very integral in that for you in your life? I know you got to meet that real estate couple that helped you learn to purchase houses after door knocking, your skill level there. Was there anybody else that was like really integral in who you are today that you can look back on?
So a few different angles there would be, in regards to,
just who you are as a person today.
Yeah, in regards to, like, kind of who I become. It's funny, my kids and I are such a detach on education. Not school. Education. Right? And I have gotten to a point where I for those of you who are really looking at your kids' success and failures, ability to plug in and not plug in, Matt Boudreau's got a program called Apogee. And he does this Apogee Strong program, which really gets your kids to think differently and really focus on what they love and what they're good at. And you could live within the confines of what people consider to be your education, your 6 hours, your 4 hours, your 8 hours, and what you're going to do. So he's helped me kind of figure out what kind of dad, I'm going to be and how that's going to work. Because within our world, it's like, I had a couple that kept me in real estate by realizing, like, they split a deal with me when they didn't have to. Like, that was the Ron and Lena. And till this day, I don't know if I've ever really set them aside to how much that meant to me. but they were always on my Christmas list for the last, 15 years. And I keep in touch with them. We went to dinner maybe once in 3 years. Mm-hmm. We get invites to each other's, parties and such. But when these people, drop a mile mark, my wife's good about that. She's like, I want to remember this moment. Almost like I'm going to put a stake in it, and because she holds things to a much higher standard. It's like, our last name's Christy. If you call her Christy, she will just unfriend you. Like, she draws hard lines on stuff. It's like, if you don't know my name's Megan, we're really not friends on Facebook or in person.
Right.
It's this. So you've reached people, I guess I get to be almost middle of the road for a lot of this stuff until I see someone who's setting the bar a lot higher. You're setting the bar in health, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I can have this unparalleled joy of Mo Gadot wrote a book called the pursuit of, or it's like the relentless pursuit of happiness. And it's this, when you're unable to when you can take this bad news and this stuff and just realize who you are in yourself and and the confidence of what you mean to your kids and your wife and your spouse, who you are to your family. It's this, you get a much better vision of what's going on out there and how it affects you and how it doesn't affect you.
Did you have somebody growing up in your life that really stood out for you that you said, hey, I'm gonna be like this person? Because I see something so finite in today's world, just in our interactions and even getting to know you more here. There's just that, there's something, there's a glow, there's a spark, there's an aura you have around you that, man, I just can't help but smile when I look at you.
Yeah,
I
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I will say people in this world take themselves too serious. Like when you read my Craigslist ads for my job postings, you're like it's a job. I need to hire someone that's not cranky. I go through some really specific things, and the people who respond are like, I really wouldn't respond to this anyway, but I needed to know, is this a real job? Because I'm really excited. I want to be part of something like this. But I would say, to get off topic where you're going with your question, my dad's license plate has always said persevere.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's a business owner, and you get your tail handed to you in business. I talked to a guy the other day. I said, I never lost money in real estate. You've never done enough deals. You've not done enough deals at all. And that's from a standpoint of volume, we have 15, 20 flips going right now.
Right, that's what you're saying.
You better believe I have made plenty of mistakes on all the way forward in order to capitalize on some of those. I'll still make the same mistake. Mm-hmm. Called a good buddy of mine, a competitor here in town, and we own houses together. We split stuff, and I still help price stuff with him. It's like don't you have a ton in that neighborhood? You don't know what this thing's worth. People think we know. You have it all figured out. Nope, we don't. And
every deal's different.
But I can reach out to someone and especially knowing, you're sitting here in 95835, right? 95834 has got lower insurance rates. So you get to know all these random facts that are either applicable or not, according to what you're doing. And people I can reach out to. And I say, hey, I really need someone over at, such and such organization. Do you know anybody? Do you have anybody? And then that's where the relationship, it's you'll get people from texting you, I don't even remember where I met this dude.
Right.
And then there's other people who are really intentional, and they're like, let's shoot a photo. Because when you call me, your photo's going to come up oh, I remember that guy. I met him when we were at the something. And you can kind of build from there. And it's I don't know. I'm still just trying to hone it all in. And in the world of spokes, it's I have, in regards to your questions, it's I got guys like you who are setting the bar in health, that your priorities. And you start there, and everything else falls into place, right? Or when I am dominating in business, and if my marriage is struggling, or I'm not present for my kids, it's I get in, out of all the books I've had here going, I get into, my buddy wrote a book called, Family Board Meeting. And it's this, set your phone aside for a whole hour. And it was theoretically go surfing, board, go skateboarding, go, it's have a board meeting. You're, right now, I don't turn my phone off, for a whole hour. Why can't you turn your phone off? Prioritize around that connection to your kids once a month and do these things. So it's I can reach out and I can find people who I strive to bring in that part of it. Mm-hmm. But if someone has a 7% body fat, they own 100 houses, and they've had 3 divorces, what can you take from that relationship? It's like this. There's a lot of give and take in trying to figure out who you surround yourself with.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen is, for me last year, I knew that I was off. And I think it was July or August, I was talking to one of my coaches, and I was like, you know what? If I have my spirituality in order and my physicality in order, I'm unbreakable. I get those two things right. Yeah. Everything else I can handle.
When was the last time you remember falling out on one of those, and how did you correct it?
Dude, so I actually kicked off the year, started off with the 75 hard.
Oh, and I've heard great reviews on that world.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So I reached out, Stratton down in Fresno? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was...
Emailed me today, finally.
Text
him a reminder.
I was talking to him. I posted on my social media. I was like, hey, man, this is what's great about our community and, like, building a community and having these relationships. I said, hey, on my story on Instagram, I was like, hey, I think I'm going to start a 75 hard coming in January. Any tips, right? Like, just getting ready, getting prepared. I like being prepared to win, right? I don't want to prepare to lose by not preparing. I need to have this locked in, because when I get maniacal, I'm maniacal for a great thing, right? And he's like, oh, this was back in November. He's like, why don't you start now? I was like, I'm not prepared. I have this coming up, and I scheduled this date is when I'm going to start. And he's like, all right, bro, we'll see you at the finish line. So I had reached out to a couple other people, and there's about 14 total that started out, and I was the only one to complete it.
14.
No joke. And went to the finish line, and I was so maniacal with it. I'm not finishing. Sometimes I wouldn't finish till I would get my second workout in at 11 o'clock at night, knowing I had to be up at 5 o'clock. Be like, nope, I'm not skipping this day. I set out to do this. So that's how I got through the 75 hours. Like, I just said, hey, cool, this is my start date, this is my end date. And then I ended off with a 75-hour fast that almost went 78, because I was pissed off about my relationship with alcohol, because I like to drink. And the day before, day 74, my lady just randomly, like, I was getting ready to go golf or do something, right? I hug her, walking out the door. She asked me, how are you feeling? Which isn't a common question, right? Like, for our relationship, we're like, hey, how'd you do today? What's going on? Blah, blah. But she tapped in. She said, how are you feeling? And I said, I just want to drink. Yeah. And it pissed me off so bad that day 75 at noon, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm doing a 75-hour fast after, right? Just to make sure that switch was
hours, that is no joke.
Yeah.
That's angry.
Dude, I was on. The only reason I ate, I got to 77 hours and 50 minutes. I ate because I was going to one of Bobby's meetup events. Yeah. And I was like, well, I need to get something in my stomach. You know what I mean? So I had a protein shake. But I put my physicality and my spirituality in first position to make sure I had those. And I've seen all of my relationships have changed. All of them.
Good.
Because my relationship with myself changed.
You know, my buddy of mine gave me one of those tidbits that you could write down. You know, it's one of those, it says an unhealthy man, a healthy man has 1,000 wishes. An unhealthy man has but one. Mm-hmm. Like, what you wouldn't give to buy back your health right now, right? It's so funny though. I think there's some of that. What you could start now, what I can start later. You know, my wife and I are back and forth on. I agonize over a $15,000 decision, but I can go buy a $500,000 home at auction. Have no idea what it looks like inside. Like,
not a problem.
Yep, like a $15,000 car decision eats me up for 90 days, right?
Yep.
And I'm gonna think you're gonna judge me because I'm gonna buy a nice car for my son, and he doesn't have a job yet, and like this, like any of this whole matters. But my child got day 40-ish or something, got in a car accident, and very small, and just it is that warning shot. You know, it's like I want him to have all the technology now. You know, like, and what if I could do this different or whatever? You know, it's like you start you are your biggest critic. So for you to know that ahead of time, you fall out of line. Like, I think that's kind of always where I've been with my faith is like, I'm on the path, but when I'm off, it is clear. I am tangenty. Yeah, but it's
that's a hard left. Yeah, that's a hard left turn out of that.
But you know it. If you're going to focus on your health and your faith.
My spirituality was number
where
one.
Yeah.
I got back into church. I recently baptized on Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. Right? Like, I've never been baptized.
My wife and I were baptized together on April Fool's Day. My mom was like, if you're kidding about this, I am out.
Yeah, that's not a good joke. But congrats. How long ago were you baptized?
So I was just talking to my dad about this yesterday. I was baptized at 2. And I decided that they made that decision for me. I was the only of my 2 siblings and myself baptized. I made the decision probably, maybe 2013 or so. 12, 13, 14 right there.
So both you and your wife and your kids are involved in the church as well?
Yeah. And 2 of my kids are baptized on their own, at their own accord, and one is not yet. And I fully up to him.
Yeah.
Wherever he's at with his walk and with his faith.
That's wonderful, man.
Yeah.
I my lady didn't grow up in the church, right? Not that she's ever been against or anything like that. I fell out of the church. I said, hey, you know what? There was some family dynamic struggles as a teenager. I was heavily into the youth group. Yeah. I was singing in the choir at a Pentecostal church in El Centro, California. I was heavy into it. And church camp, all that stuff. My dad's relationship, this lady come in, and then all of a sudden she has reins of the house. And I don't even know this lady. You know what I mean? Like, she just moved in and then removed church and sports. And I said, fine, if God doesn't want me, I'm out. That was at 15. And then later on, bootstrap Christian when I was in the military, and then finally came back. And it's just been so rewarding, man.
I'm telling you, I could probably ask 1,000 questions on the military, as it sits. I mean, what a culture to be part of.
Yeah, man. I'm curious about your culture with your business now that we're going down that.
Great question. I mean, we grew and shrunk. I would say that now it's very likely we're grown again. Mm-hmm. I kind of use the analogy that when the world fell apart, I think Costco was very diligent to not do layoffs. They kept reasonably staffed. I didn't think some companies were just shutting down everything. And it was kind of that way for us. And in 2020, I bought another business, and I had bought my business partner out at the same time, which creates its own cash flow nightmare of its own. But that 12-ish year, I hired 2 teammates, 2 gals that are still with me today that make night and day, value add for the business, just in the world of kind of irreplaceable-ish, and we have, I got someone on support now from like an admin standpoint, and then we have my bookkeeper who kind of has a bookkeeper also, because our volume's kind of crazy right now. And full-time property management support in that side. So I would say that the world's coming back into foreclosure, and we're launching a fund called Regional Equity, and we'll be doing that over the next few weeks to finalize it, and then come to the back end of advertising it, and it's going to give me the freedom to make decisions on stuff that I've earned the right to make those decisions, but you don't have to ask for bank permission.
Right.
It's people. Yeah. Protecting people's money, protecting people's investments, and sharing in the upside.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And you just said you've earned the right to do that.
Which is how I see it. Ask my bank, they will laugh at you.
Right.
Like, I'm barely an adult on paper.
Right.
So let me get this straight. Like, when I go through they pull my credit, and they're like, I don't get it. It's like there's just like, it's like credit, you have all these loans, right? And on there, but there's so many entities, or I borrow, in the world of rates were crashing, and I was taking stuff, out of my business and my corporation and putting, you have to borrow it in your personal name because they don't loan to an S corp, but they loan to an LLC, and it's just, I just feel so bad for my CPA, and then because I figure it out as we go, and it's work-ish. Right? I mean, if I had a full-time CFO, that would be a value add for me in this world right now.
Right.
But everything costs money. You try and think you can do everything on your own. Like, you ever gone shopping for a piece of furniture and be like, I can make that. I can't make that.
Not at all.
No chance.
Not at all.
the lies we tell ourselves.
Right. It's our ego stands out when we're shopping for furniture or for cars or for whatever.
Or for cars. Like, you want me to put this on my credit report, like for you. And like I'm not even buying a new car. Why are you getting a new car?
Right.
It's obviously devouring.
I can sense it.
Yeah.
You know, this car thing. We could change the subject off the car. Yeah. Yeah. But, man, I'm curious, you know, like, growing up in this industry the last, 17 years? 21 years? Yeah. 21 years, man. What's been like the most influential part? Like, I know we've been on this bull run for quite a while. Now we can kind of say it's a bear market to a degree, although we don't have a lot of inventory, right? We do know layoffs are happening big time. You just called it like, hey, foreclosures are going to be coming down the pipeline. Right. We actually don't have a clue.
We know, or you can read an article today and completely interpret it the same opposite of how I read it.
Right. So that's another thing. Like,
yeah, like there isn't. I don't think there's a lot of data out there that supports any which way the decisions we're going to make, which is almost where I come in for a lot of junior real estate investors, which is go, you got it, go. Like, you want to give a pat on the butt. Like, go. It's really that easy. Like, people think there's some super secret. You got to check 13 boxes. You got to do that. Like, when you buy a house, do you get a sewer inspection? That costs $350 to camera it. Do you get a chimney? You could have 30 inspections on a house.
A survey for a tract home. You know, survey for a tract home. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And in the end, it's like, it comes down to this almost like a self-insure mode where you're like, what do I get out of this deal? You know, what's the benefit? Like, yeah, I got to check a box, and I feel like I feel better about my decision. I feel better about my decision. Like, people come to me with a great deal sometimes, like almost like let's split this thing. Like, no, you need to do this deal. Like, I will do it, or we could split it. Sure, I'll split it with you. But if what you need is the confidence, please get out of your own way and do this deal. And those are the people I love the most. I mean, the most random text messages that they think they're like bothering me or something. Like, I love that stuff. Like, just to give back, and the gifts I had gotten, you know, year over year, and I mean the experience that you can't measure, like in that way, in that weird way. It's like, you know, there's a story about one of the companies I was with that these guys, when they were getting together, they legitimately wrote down the numbers for how they were going to build the business on a napkin. You hear stories about that. Like, they shot a photo of it, and we were, you know, one of the first, as we consult on how we're going to do this and why. And it wasn't, I mean, I did a deal with the largest private equity firm in the world. They didn't even have a copy of my driver's license. No social security number, nothing. It was my reputation through my title company that got me that interview. And then they sent me $7 million in cashier's checks. It's like that thick. I have cashier's checks that I have to log every single one of them, create a spreadsheet for them. And it's because, what good's it going to do me? You know, it's like it's this, they know there's, you know, checks and balances for everything, and they need people who can catch their vision. They're going to do their role. They're going to do their part. I can get whatever title I would have wanted out of that deal. But at the end, what I wanted was the equity, salary. I want to be part of something bigger. My choice at that decision was, I can either own 100% of the world's smallest pie, or own the smallest percent of the world's largest pie ever cooked in real estate, you know, in residential real estate.
And eat forever.
Yeah. So I got to jump aboard something really big, and, you know, just because I would say in my interview, I let my ego get the best of me in round one, and then I sobered up about it and came to my senses that, you know, it wasn't them lucky that they found me, you know, like it was genuinely mutual. And I think there's a lot of that goes into that. It's like, what's fair?
Right. Well, how do we make it a win-win transaction?
Or if you can genuinely measure what you're giving up, that it's harder to give it up. You know, like, I'm giving up time with my wife, my kids, my whatever. But for this long, you know, or for this long, like, how long is that? You know, what's it going to cost you? If it costs you your health because you work 15 hours a day, or is it going to cost you dollars? You know, in a learning lesson, or like, you know, it's not everything's about money, not by any means. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I still, there are people who call me today who still think I'm the regional president of the Northern California division of Invitation Homes. think I still work there. Why would you leave? It's a cool company. I didn't leave because I wanted to go back to being self-employed. My goals, I want to wear flip-flops 306 days out of the year.
Right.
It's one day under 2 months that it's going to rain or I'm going to have to adult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I can't be that dude on Purple Shirt Thursday at my office.
Right.
It's Purple Shirt Thursday.
Right. That's our highlight of the week.
But I freaking loved it. My team was so fun. I went from having 6, 7 on my team and buying butt tons and owning 100% of it, like really growing something awesome. I didn't even know how good I had it at the time. To having like 80 something employees, and I didn't feel reasonably adulty enough to have construction managers who just came out of 350 builds for a major builder,
right?
And they're answering to me like I'm supposed to have all the answers. I knew my part of the business, but I was blessed to have people who knew people, and so I brought you in. And you brought in, Katie or, like Angie. And it's just like, and they were so good at what they did that they were able to pick it up and add value. And it's this whole manage up thing. And that's why I didn't stay for some of the other opportunities is I didn't manage up my relationships well enough. It's an ego thing. Super, just didn't understand, the short-term, long-term value of it all.
Right. I see a lot of people in the world today that's like, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
What can you do for me? And if there's anything that I find in my relationship with Christ, it's give it all.
Yeah.
Give everything you got. Yeah. It's like tithing, man. Give what you can.
You'll get it back in double.
Yeah. And it's that ever revolving door. Like if you pour into so many people, like the value, the relationship, the time, those moments, they come back tenfold.
Sure.
Right. It's super great to hear that, just, hey man, and you're aware saying, hey, I look back and maybe I didn't manage these relationships right. But was that your calling? Right.
I mean, wasn't my path. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. The paths redirect, man. Like we say, if we go off on our spiritual world, that hard left can take us down somewhere. Or if we take a hard left on a relationship that maybe we didn't pour enough into, but we just felt slighted, or we felt this, but we didn't come from curiosity. We can get lost in our ego and our pride and say, well, boom, cut that person off.
Or the people surrounding you affect your decisions more than you'll know. I actually cut off relationships with a dude that I did a lot of deals with just because we had a deal go bad. Like in reality, it's like I've had deals go bad with other people I still own a bunch of other random deals with.
Right.
It just takes so long to build a relationship. It's so fast to break it. You never lose money. You only lose money on your last deal. Everything else was so good until then, and then it just, shifts. So it's this sense of, I don't know. I love the mutual value with this stuff. And that's one of the reasons I got into real estate. One of the dudes who bought my dad's building in the 90s, they had a good team going. It was like legal, and one guy was a broker. Mm-hmm. Next dude was maybe the attorney who does all the legal and condo splits of the buildings. And the next guy was the contractor that separated them, put up the firewalls and put the extra meters in to break it into 6 units. And then you buy the pie, sell the slices, and each person did their own part of that deal. And I'm like, I want to do that. And I just felt like, what part of that can I do? So I know what part I add the most value in. I'm not going to jump on board with you and do accounting.
Right.
That's not me. I will die of boredom, and you will die of being audited.
Right.
That's not my world.
Exactly. Well, we see that so often, right? Many sports are joined with more than one person, right? Basketball, football, tennis even, they have coaches, right? Yeah, you're out there playing, but what's the coach there for? You're swing coach in golf, right? Everything has multiple relationships that are finite.
Speaking of, what do you pay for coaching right now? Ballpark, what do you feel is a reasonable amount at where you're at in your career to spend on coaching?
So I spend $1,000 a month for MAPS coaching. And then I actually did Brendan Bouchard's 16-week thing that cost me $8,000. That's what I blessed myself with to start this year. Yeah. And
the reason I ask is people they feel like it's about the $8,000. Like I want to buy I want to hire an EOS integrator. It costs thousands of dollars a day or something. Like I see the cost. It's not like I'm weighing it against the benefits that I'm going to get.
That's the thing. We look at this number.
So mental.
We look at this number, right? And we're like, oh, is it worth that? How have you been treating yourself and living right now? Whether it's business, spirituality, physicality, relationships, whatever. And somebody has a literal like pot of gold for you, right? All you got to do is march down this path. And that path is that $8,000, right? They're going to see stuff that you are so unaware of because you think you know it all.
I got pitched by a dude. I'm 73% sure it's his AI. It's like they're on everybody that's on their Facebook or everybody that's commented on their posts or whatever it is. They reach out about this whole like coaching program and it's like, and these are some of them are dudes who I have relationships with. I'm wondering, is it you or is it your VA in another country or whatever? Like, it's like this becomes as if it's genuine, but I try and discount as if what they're offering isn't of value. Like so many people like don't even want to hear the pitch. You don't have any idea how much value it could add.
Right.
Like, and I tried to explain that when I was at Mitch's meeting was like this. Join things. Join GoBundance. GoBundance has that balance thing of like, you shouldn't have to feel embarrassed about sharing and being joyful for your wins. But there's this sense of judgment. Like when you do your 100th deal and you go on Facebook and be like, can you believe 100 people this year have trusted me to sell their home for them? I'm Rich. I'm the world's greatest realtor in the history of ever. I'll prove it to you. And then you have 6 more months to produce. It's like this, you almost feel bad because in reality, the only reason you can do that is because you have 3, 4, 5, 8 people behind you who are lifting you up, holding you up, TCing for you.
Whenever,
you name it. Anything.
Whenever I go on an appointment, hey, you know what? I know I'm the face right here, but actually the true work behind this is from my transaction coordinator and my client care team. I can negotiate. I can find you property. I can make sure we sell your property at the most value it will produce today. Here's my game plan for that. The only way I'm successful is by everybody else behind me.
Yeah.
And they support it. Yeah. But I introduce them as my team. Hey, these are the people that run the show. I'm nothing but a pretty face, right? Like,
when I took the Invitation Homes gig, Tommy Daves was up for it. You know Tom?
Yeah.
So him and I did a ton of deals, because he had clarity. That dude was 15 years old, more mature. That's better. It doesn't matter how old you are. He was 15 years more mature than me in real estate, and whatever it was. And he's like, I don't want to freaking run this company. Like, I got a great thing going. I got my team. We want to buy a butt ton of houses, and they bought a butt ton of houses for us. There were months he was just killing it. Just killing it, and he earned it. He had a great system. I walk in his office. He's got freaking ears on, and he's on this calling program. He's got these, and it's like just a great dude. Someone I enjoy doing business with.
Right.
And it's this. He stuck to the system.
Yeah, I love that everything you've talked about. Right, even in your relationship with your kids and your spouse and your relationship with Christ and everything, like you're earning your keep in the world. And a lot of society thinks like, oh, well, I showed up to work today, so give me a gold star, right? Give everybody a trophy, like that kind of thing. Like how much people don't understand, like the blood, sweat, and tears that you've put into working well and building yourself up to this degree. Like people need to know it's not
sacrifice too. You're right.
Yeah, sacrifice.
What have I,
like your time, your money, your effort.
It's just, it is really a state of mind. It is, if you're able to be where you're at, with your confidence in who you are and your faith. And I can't live my kids' lives for them. My presence there is valued. Like when you're not present, you're trying to rebuild into a relationship or something like that. Like it's, like when I could come on, like when I am firing on all cylinders, my marriage is, an A-. No one's an A+, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe when you're a D, maybe on your wedding day, right? Yeah, like that's A+.
It's like I want to be able to tell you, do you have any idea? Like, I mean, she didn't talk to me for 7 days after that. Like we can all tell these war stories of the mistake you made of like taking an appointment on your anniversary or something. You name it. There's some other ones I cannot share on camera. And, but this, as long as I am confident and comfortable for where I'm at, I can't worry about your comfort. I can lead and I can be present with you. And I hope that you accept the gift of that presence and what you can learn. But there are days where I go home and I journal. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go. My son and I we're going to set a goal. We're going to get 8 hours of hiking in the next 60 days or something like that. That's 2 longer hikes because he's already in travel, lacrosse. He's got everyone has all these commitments. But when it comes down to it, are you going to do the breakout? And keep your priorities be a priority. So I think about it this way. It's like this market will hand me my tail. Mm-hmm. I'm doing nothing to make the market. It's not like I'm building the best house, selling the only affordable real estate. I'm simply taking a distressed property and making it less distressed. I can't even fix all those problems. I'll sell a house with 80 feet of fence that needs to be replaced, but it's a good neighbor fence. And when you move in, you can split the cost of the neighbor with that. It's $15 a foot. Like I can do the math as to what we didn't fix. My wife's like, why didn't you just put simple. You just dogleg the concrete over to the fence. Like everyone will want that. I'm like, it's not going to affect the bottom line. Like an appraiser's not going to be like, it's worth $150 a square foot plus that fence.
Right.
Right. That's if someone's willing to buy it, highest and best bidder. Like that's what I hate about flipping houses. You end up cutting some corners that you wish you could solve all these problems and sell the world's perfect house. You're not a builder. We don't have a builder's. I don't have the insurance that the builders do. We're not delivering. There's no financing to do mass. All that stuff died in this world.
Right. Yeah. So I'm curious, man. Like every time I see you, you're smiling.
That's true.
Right. Is your family all full of smilers too?
Yeah. I mean, in their own way, like what I love most about it is Levi's not natural, like in these environments. Like he's not walking around like glowing ear to ear. But when I see him on campus or something like that, he's smiling, he's having a good old time, he's flirting with his girlfriend. It's like there's such joy in seeing your kids joy filled.
Yeah.
My daughter has no cares in the whole wide world. Like, she gets scared. She's just, little things. Like last night at 3:30 in the morning, she ended up in our bed. But like, she'll sing. We were up with my buddy up in Truckee this weekend, and he's telling a story about his wife and a show she did or something, and Vivian goes, I wrote my own song. You want me to sing it for you? Not scared at all in the whole way. I start singing it. So I film it and
how cute.
Oh, it's the best. Like, girls love their dads different. Like right now she's in a mom mode. I mean, legit. Her and her mom are on par. Like, they are firing on all cylinders. And she adores her dad, but she loves her mom. Yeah. And the dudes, it's like, they're teenagers. They already know everything in the whole wide world.
Yeah, they know it all.
Everything. There's literally not, like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
Like,
Dad, I can move out now.
For me?
Yeah.
For an apartment?
I'm getting emancipated. I gotta go.
Like,
thanks for teeing this up. I'm out.
I guess to build on where you were a second ago into this, like early when we first got started, I did win the parent lottery. They're still very present.
Yeah.
My dad sold his company and had extra space. I got to stay put in my building. Like he comes in and I get to see him, and he's working on the world's biggest spreadsheet for me right now. Like, I called him for advice on something the other day so I have that gift. And I think for the seed I plant for you name it, when my kids are out and gone and whatever it is, like I do have a heart for, people like that are coming out of foster care or the system or something where they don't have that. And there are people putting together programs that are like a Rent-A-Dad.
Yeah.
Like you want an unabridged, unbiased opinion or like something truthful, something to run this thing through that there's nothing in it for me but to be present for you. Like I love what other people are building. I want to be part of something like that. I can't lead at this point in time in my life. I should say I'm not making that as big a priority as raising teenagers devours you. Like, it is legit. I mean, we're putting up cameras places that we shouldn't have to put up cameras.
Sounds about teenagers.
Oh, it's weird adulting now.
Yeah.
Like the world has changed. You're not just waiting. You're worried your kid's going to go run out in the street or something. My son broke his rib playing lacrosse. And he missed X amount of days. And we got a letter from the school district saying, you can't miss this much school. We're like, yeah, we kind of can.
Yeah, he's got a broken rib, man. Give him a break.
But, it's not all. I mean, I smile a ton. I got a ton to be thankful for. I got some great long-term relationships. I got people in my life that do challenge me. I joined groups that help me understand mindset and time and fear and risk. And, I just saw my wife reading a book by one of the guys who spoke at one of my men's group meetings. It's like someone else who put that program together knew I got to read that book. I got to be present. There's something there of value that I would love to have parallel with my wife.
And being aware of that is key, right? Like, pay attention to the ones who love you and love the ones who pay attention to you, right?
That's a great way of saying it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's your life partner. You know what I mean? And you guys had this foundation.
I will tell you, it's a trip. My parents are married for 1 zillion years. They've been married 50-something years. Like, where you come from in that world does create your views of this. So, we lost my mother-in-law this last month or so. That was and you don't understand the gap that creates for someone because I haven't had to experience it in that same way. I lost my kid's grandma. I lost my mother-in-law. I lost a relationship, our Sunday fun day, the love. But my wife lost her mom.
Man.
Yeah. It is it's heavy. And that's just this, you go through these phases where everybody in your life's getting married. Everybody in your life's having babies. Everybody in their life is, divorcing. Then they're getting married again. And it's like, I've been in the same dude's wedding multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
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 And then now, there are people who are getting to have, I don't know whether you're 35 or 45 or, people I'm hanging out with that are 55 or 45. So it's like, it meshes together of just this kind of adulting world. It's no longer you're a sophomore.
Right.
But one of the things Boudreaux kind of mentioned to me, Matt, was saying like, I don't get graded as a husband. Like, why should you be graded in school? Well, you're kind of a C- right now as a husband. You got to put that, I mean, you can get it up to a C+. Like, there isn't this threshold, so it's like, are you able to come together and deal with life's random relationships?
It's all going to come at you, man. It's all going to come at you, and it's never going to stop. And that's the beauty of life. Where I probably pretty similar to you on this joy thing. Where can I find this joy? Well, I find it internally first. Mm-hmm. I wake up pumped. I'm pumped. Yeah. I woke up. I opened my eyes today, and I'm breathing. Can I get out of bed? Oh, man, I'm getting out of bed. This is a glorious day, right? And when I start my day with that, the world just, dude, I'm seeing the lights. I'm seeing the colors.
Do people call you out on it? People say, man, that dude has got the pep in his step.
Yeah, what's going on with him, right? And that's why I wanted, really when I said I found my spirituality and my physicality, because I know, I have those two things, I'm unbreakable. Yeah. Right? Yeah, I'll get beat up. I'll get bruised up. I'll break an arm. I'll get a black eye, bloody lip, whatever. But you're not going to take this smile, man. God gifted me with another great day. I get to go be great. I get the opportunity to go be great. And I'm choosing to go live in that life. Yeah. I'm going to live in that world as long as I have it. Because it might be taken away from me tomorrow. It might be taken away from me later today. But I'll be damned if I don't sing my song while I'm here. Yeah. I'm going to sing this song, man. I feel that with you, dude. Every time I'm around you, that smile is just, I appreciate it. It encapsulates me, dude. I love it, dude. I would just love to sit at a family dinner with you, just see how you relate with your wife, with Megan and with the kids, and just be at I could imagine being another parent, completely stressed out, answering those emails that just are abundant and never ending about this stuff. And their mind's going, wigging out. And you're like, yeah, I just got to walk the kids from here to here. Sick. Right?
It's such a different, mentality. You're like, that's my entire job.
That's it.
So if someone says their name, you put a checkbox next to it. All right, I can do that.
Nailed it.
But then you show up at an event, and it is that the joy kind of is a, there's a dude, it was one of the Cutco dudes that wrote a book about it's called the Mr. Thank You Project. And I want to say he wrote like some irrational number, like 6 thank you cards a day, a whole year, or 100 days straight or something. It's like, people don't take time to do that.
Right.
Anymore. Like, and when you get one, you appreciate it. And it's like this, there's an old school almost way of, relating and being present for people. And I mean, you can go and drop $250 on a wedding gift for someone and not even get a thank you in the mail, or you never know what it is. Mm-hmm. And that's I don't know. It's just how it comes down to people's values. So.
Dude, it's funny you bring that up. On Facebook, we're all alerted whose birthday it is.
Sure.
Right? Are you someone that posts? Not you specifically, but like there's people. Facebook has the algorithm now where you could click. It says "Happy Birthday!" ! 3 emojis.
Sure.
Right. No, I like sending a personal message. Pick it up the phone.
Sure.
Right. But that goes back to the thank you card. 6 a day. I was trying to do 1 a day. And I made it a week.
It was just something numbers like 6 or 10 or something stupid. But I mean, you're like, wow, good for you. But it's just. On Christmas, I would almost rather on the 23rd sit down, genuinely get 30 minutes, text message people, like kind of, something, because you can voice text. I always sit at my desk sometimes, I'm like, I can voice text an entire email. But then I go to my desk, I'm like, I start
15 minutes.
So yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's just so irrational. Like, you could reach out to someone. So my buddy Jake sends me video text messages when he's walking sometimes at random. It's a good reminder. Mm-hmm. That's super personal. It's just like, we haven't gotten together since we were at the Kings game. This is just irrational. Someone's got to make this a priority.
Yeah. Those friends are great, man.
Yeah.
They're intentional about their living, and they're intentional about the relationship. Right?
And when you get together, you tend to tell the truth. Like, there are challenges in your world. Share that. Have you ever felt depressed? There are people in our world that have taken their own life. You ever went, who knew? Where was that person? I thought I could have been that person. Who knows what's going on in any given person's mind at any given time?
So I battled depression for a long time. I went through therapy and all that stuff, and I feel I'm remarkable now. I have my down moments. I still have my corner 4, right? Basically, like, it's not really a number 4, but I have the corner where it's like, hey, if I'm down, I know I can call these guys.
Yeah.
And I can cry on the phone with them. They're not gonna pillow talk their wife, and even if they did, who cares? I got it out, right? I'd rather get it out rather than
people tell me how to use my phone. They'll be like, you can do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, that freaking makes sense.
That's
but in reality,
cool.
It's like a buddy of mine called me and said, my therapist told me that I should tell you. You're my number. You're my call. He says, who are those 2 people? If you ever have something in your life, you got to tell someone. You have to tell someone. Who are those 2 people? So he calls me up and tells me this. It's going to be me. And so in my mind, I'm like, how do I make my phone ring at night in case he actually calls? And when everybody else, I go sleep at night. I put it on. Mm-hmm. How do I make one person? So I start researching to try and know better. I want to be present. If someone says, I need you, Rich, you want to be present. For someone like that.
Those 3 o'clock friends, right?
Yeah,
not to stay up till 3 o'clock, but hey, I'll wake up for your call because I know.
And it's just like we all need it.
Yeah. We're as detached as people try to be in this world and distracted as they are, right? We are still community based. Since the dawn of time, we are community based. You could call us animals, you can call us whatever, but we are community based. And like talking about, it takes a village to raise a kid, or it takes multiple people to run a very successful business. You could be the head honcho of everything. I guarantee you don't clean those floors. I guarantee you don't make sure the internet's running, right? You hire out and do all this, right? But
someone asked me that question the other day. They're like, when do you think you knew you had made it? How do you think you measure your success? And I thought for a second about it. I'm like, when I realized I was no longer opening the mail. That was it. It wasn't that I had more money, I had more assets. It was nothing like that. It was just that there were now processes where people engineered them to exclude me from those processes.
Right.
Like, anything because especially if they genuinely are doing it because they know what I'm good at. Like, go do what you're good at. This is not it.
Right.
And then they will fill me in on the details.
Right. Here's what you need to know, Tommy. Everything else was junk. Here's your tax bill. Pay that.
And there are people I hear on podcasts, people are like, oh yeah, I hired someone to read my email and do this and this. Like they go through all these systems. I'm like, it's so personal to me. Like I stop and I think, how will I know? Like, how will I know he responded to you? Like, and so I, see a buddy. He's like, I'm like, man, I actually really enjoyed that article you wrote about why bridges are bigger than old bridges. Whatever. I don't remember writing that. Somebody wrote that for me and posted it. Like, that makes sense, and that's just fine. Because ultimately, I got whatever I needed out of that.
Right.
What did it matter that this dude did not actually write that article? And I got.
Did you find value in it?
Yeah,
right.
I found value in it.
Was it from his company or whatever? Right. Like, did it look like it was from him?
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. So when you stopped opening mail, that's when you're like, man.
I didn't even realize I was no longer. It just had a system for itself. People that were supporting the business didn't want my hands on that part of it, and then the part that wasn't like you can only get so many utility bills in the whole wide world. Like I was creating spreadsheets and doing like double doing the work. So when I got out of that, I realized, oh, how about that? Like when my 2-year-old was banging on the door because I'm in my garage conversion office with paperwork stacked on my Bowflex. like I think it's time we get an office.
Yeah. Yeah.
You make a $900 decision. Big decision.
Yeah. There it is again, right? Took 90 days to figure out.
Yeah, but so I'm at where I'm at now where I would say I call less people for business advice and more for raising teenager advice and dominating marriage advice. And like, it's not about, saving a buck or making a buck. Right now there is a genuine investment in understanding the psychology of what's going on around me and who I am to my relationships, my kids, my wife. And a lot in the world's changing right now.
I love that, man. Because the business can all fold, right? But you won't lose your family. That's the priority.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny. That's a two-way street. You got to know when you're in dangerous waters.
Mm-hmm.
You got to work. It's not I bought you something, relationship.
No.
It's like if you want something genuine, a connection that's genuine, you got to be able to give that genuine.
There we go. Give
and receive.
Give.
So, and it's not equal. I mean, you hear people say, "Oh, you got to give 100%, even if they're giving 0." Sure. However, whatever you need to kind of justify it, or however you justify it, but it's a commitment.
Right. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
You're committed to door knocking, finding real estate, committed to building a business, rock and roll, and committed to the relationship.
People, I have earned a lot of random deals that come through now just organically. And I mean, just today we're putting advertising on a vacant lot that I own. And so it's like I'm trying to engineer a plan. If I was really methodical about it, like reducing my presence in parts of the business and focus on what I'm doing. But it's an addiction.
Sounds like a good addiction.
Real estate is an addiction.
Yeah. How do you correlate the addiction aspect to it? Like, what is it about real estate that really draws you to it? Right? Because it could be anything, dude. It could be coding. It could be writing. It could be video games, like producing.
Yeah, I find that kind of funny. It's like, we had one go to sale today for $60,000. That's all they owed. A house they bought in 2002. And the math doesn't make any sense. And in your mind, you're thinking, I'm going to be the only one who's going to show up at auction. I'm going to buy this thing for $62,000. Like, not even close. Like this, or auction.com gives you a $10,000 bid. You're like, I'd pay $10,000 for that house. And that's there's no bank release on it or something like that, right? But it's it is. Every deal when I realized this is this juice worth the squeeze,
right?
Can I make money here? And I will tell you that you lie to yourself a lot. You're like, well, maybe rehab's $15,000. You spend $50,000.
Right.
You're like, yeah, I just really wanted to make that deal.
Yeah, I just really wanted to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. But having enough skills and earning your right to be able to do those things, right? Like we have people scared to jump on their first. Yeah. And that was me for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? You're just scared to do your first because we want that pat on the butt.
But that brings in your coaching thing. Like, I'm not going to charge a thing for someone that's like, hey, I'm looking at this deal. What do you think? If someone says, hey, we're looking, I would love for you to look at this deal with me. That's a different beast. But if someone says, hey, I got this deal. Agent says it's worth $350. Here's how we're going to do it. This and this. What's that? Oh, you're just fine. Go with it.
Got it.
Give someone some confidence. They run with it. They get their first deal done. They capitalize on it.
You know, I remember I was home from the military and my little brother from my adopted family was learning how to swim. And my adopted dad tells me, he's like, hey, man, watch this because your kids later on are going to do this, right? You'll see this in a second. When Wyatt was learning how to swim, he would swim to the other side and look up at my dad for approval.
Sure.
Hey, did I do it? Did I do it? Right? And it's a funny way of putting it, like, that was me getting into real estate investing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, who's going to look around and give me that nod of approval? But there's importance in that, right? Like, hey, on your first one, yeah, I'll give you the nod. Go ahead, take that down. And then you build that confidence. Is when you're looking every time, it's like, hold on, dude, like, what's really inhibiting you right now? Because you just did this one great. In fact, you've done 3 or 4 great. What is it about this that you're not getting? Because you already got it, right? Like, if you don't want to do the deal, don't do it. Sell the deal, right? Or just take it and run.
There's some value in that. Like, I guess I've offered stuff to people before when they're like, yeah, no thanks. Like, I can't get involved in that right now. Like, in reality, it's like, maybe that was why I was selling it. Like, because I probably shouldn't have gotten involved in it in the first place either. You know, some of the best deals we made were deals we didn't do.
Right.
You know, and it's
it's those unanswered prayers.
We had a great deal 75 miles from here very recently that I talked myself into, and then I talked myself out of because Julie wasn't in support of it, and my acquisitions team. She's like, you know how many times we're gonna have to drive up there? Like, it's 75 minutes each way, plus the random that's gonna go on, you know, while you're there. And I have to be willing to let stuff go. I'll freeze you up for whatever is going to be coming along anyway.
Right.
You got to be able to value that. That's hard in the moment, like this fear of loss. Like, I'm never going to get a deal ever again.
You're gonna get
Next one's going to come along just fine.
Yeah. It'll be here in 5 hours. Don't worry. Yeah. Or tomorrow, whatever it is. That's awesome, man. So I'm curious, you know, like there's so much greatness in you and so much that I can learn from, and so many people that are starting whatever business can learn from, man. I'm curious, you know, what book helped initiate this process, or would you recommend that really stood out for you?
So great point. I will tell you this, as a dad, it became a lot more relevant. The book that I think got me changing the game was The Miracle Morning.
Great book.
Rod's book. And he actually re-released it this month with new communities so you can get accountability out of it too, or this year. I mean, and this is a dude that has, you know, stitches on his skull, you know, from a giant accident and has short-term memory problems. So he puts these systems together, which include all the pillars of this. Like, you know, you get into the word, you can do push-ups in 6 minutes. Like, you know, like you just got to move and get into this process and stick to the process. And, you know, so it got me waking up early and investing in myself and maximizing my time better. Like, if you know, I got to be productive at 6:30 tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, you're not going to be watching Matlock drinking beers the night before. Right. And that's the kind of accountability people need. Otherwise, if nobody's watching, you're like, you know,
left to your own devices.
Yeah. So I would say Miracle Morning was one of them. Recently, I've been rucking a lot. Wake up in the early morning, put a freaking rucksack on, and go listen to stuff because it's the only time no one's calling and texting. I get uninterrupted time. And I'll listen. I just listened to The Comfort Crisis. Have you heard this one?
No,
it's like a book.
Just told me about it.
I'm sorry. It's a dude who wrote the book, but it's also a story. He spends time telling the story about him on this hunt as a non-hunter. And I'm a non-hunter, but it was just how well he kind of put it all together and what it meant. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like it was a life-changing book. It was just a great entertainment value. Mm-hmm. My wife is a reader. She could sit still and read a book. I'm like, I am jealous. I cannot sit still at all.
Right.
Doesn't matter what we're doing.
Yeah, just got to move.
Yeah,
just got to move.
And
so Audible is probably really good for you.
I do. I can devour it. And a dude in one of my men's groups says he's gotten to a point now where he can put a book on 1.5 and skim it while he's reading it and listening to it at the same time, and that gives him this double dip of the information that helps him, retain it. And then I had another guy say, "Hey, use this Appy app of something that does something, and you can get it done in 71 minutes instead of 7 hours or something." Like, oh yeah, I'll try that too. Like I haven't done that yet, but each of these books adds so much value. Traction. It's a reminder that there's a positive to every negative. There's a person out there who genuinely has zero interest in being salesy and taking 7 no's in a row, and they're more than willing to get paid their set wage as an accountant, as someone that provides their specific value at their specified wage that complements my own success. Like it's this, so you just got to find those people and put it all together. And that was that whole traction. Like I'm a visionary. I own so many random domains that I bought. I can build a whole brand off of this. I'm starting a painting company this month because I got used to hating every painter. I'm going to start a landscaping company. So I bought ilovelandscaping.com and stuff like that, like ilovepainting.com, or I start buying these domains. So we did our painter right now. He's a tall dude, 6'3", something like that. So we started thetallpainter.com.
Love it.
And so he's going to be his own painter, and he needed it. And he speaks of the Espanol, and there's no credit out there for small business owners that don't understand banking at all.
Right.
Aren't going to be able to play that game, So I get to play my part and support someone in their growth. And I think it's I could find people right now and build an entire business off of finding the right person.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Love it. That's a skill.
Yeah.
That's a skill, man. And one last question for you, my man. I love you so much, dude. I really appreciate you making the time for me today. It's awesome. What's one piece of advice you would give anybody in the world right now?
I would say that we are really in our family. It's that health really matters, and I think the way I was saying it earlier was, and I had heard it from someone else, was a healthy man has 1,000 wishes, an unhealthy man has but one. And it's this: when you don't have it, and you'd be more than willing to buy it back, you just can't turn back the clock in some of these ways. And so, the truth of the matter is, I can look at your posts of all the health and everything you got going on and realize, what's keeping me from doing 6 days a week? Taking Sunday off. What's keeping me from getting up to 5 again? I got an accountability crew. I got this, because I'm not making it the priority. You got to be genuine and trying to make it a priority. Find people that are going to lift you up, and that's it. That's the health advice I received recently that got me reminding and how valuable it really is and how important it is that we not take advantage of it.
I love it, man. We got one of these. Let's be great.
All right, I love you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Love you too. See you soon.